Welcome to Galactic Foundation Ministries Bold Moments of Truth. It's a session where we sit together and talk about different life issues. And today I'm joined by Moses. He's going to say hi to you in a bit. And Fidel Eligu. So Moses, please greet our viewers.
Hi everybody, my name is Moses, as he's told you, and I'm very glad to be part of this recording.
Sure. And Fidel.
Hey, it's Fidel again. It's nice to see you guys, and I'm happy to be on set with Jacob Kasule.
Thank you. As you've heard from them, these guys have been in ministry for a while, in doing what they do, and I'm just honored to host them today. And so we're going to be talking about one of those many things that people struggle with, and that's on forgiveness. There's been this misconception by many that those who say, one, that forgiveness means you forget what happens. There are those who say, if I'm going to forgive you, you're going to have to give me money. You've hurt me, you've done something wrong to me. If you want me to forgive you, I'll read for you my bank account, throw something there, you send me a notification message, and it's done. You're forgiven, right? Mm-hmm. But then there are also those who just say, well, forgiveness, if you forgive, it means you're weak, you're not strong if you forgive people. So today, that's one of the things we're going to be talking about today, and just kind of want to throw to Moses, kind of just in a quick one. Could you help us know, first of all, in your own definition and experience, how would you define forgiveness?
Thank you very much, Pastor Jacob. To me, forgiveness actually, to begin with, I would say forgiveness in simple terms is letting go of the offense that someone has wronged you. You release them. You are not hold them accountable for that, regardless of whether they deserve it or not, whether they ask you to forgive them or not, or including even yourself. Sometimes forgiveness, we need to forgive ourselves.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let me hear from Fidel also. Fidel, you've just had Moses, in his own words, in his own definition, helped us to kind of understand what forgiveness is. Do you share the same belief and idea, or you have a different take? How would you define forgiveness? Maybe you might even help us know, this word comes from this, and this is what it means, it's from this origin. But could you help us know what forgiveness is before we get into talking about the misconceptions and what to do for us to forgive?
Thank you very much, Jacob. I think today is one of those days that I've really been waiting for, and it's
thank God it's here.
It's a pleasure being on set, and what I would like to say is that my heart is full of joy because I am doing what I've never done before, especially being on set and being viewed by everybody in the world. You get what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying. So my definition is just not going to be different from what Moses has said, but just to affirm on what he has said. I think his definition of forgiveness is not very different from what I would say as forgiveness.
Okay.
So Moses has just said exactly what I would say.
What you would have said.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So now let me bring it closer, like we would say, closer to home. So that those who say, if you forgive, you are weak. That's a sign of weakness. For you to forgive is a sign of weakness. Is that true? That to forgive means you're weak? Moses, is that true?
Actually, from my point of view, on the contrary, to forgive, for me, I would call it being courageous.
So for you,
it's
bring
actually
strength
for
in it.
a strong one. When we see from, it takes courage for somebody actually to let it go.
Yeah.
That's and it takes energy. It's work. There's decision involved in somebody to let it go. But also, when we look at forgiveness, it's not just about benefiting the other person. You yourself, who has been hurt, who has been wrong, you actually benefit more from forgiving somebody. Sure. and so I don't consider it a
Weakness.
weakness. If I would run quick and pick an example from the Bible, Jesus forgiving people at his prayer, his last prayer when he was on the cross, and say, Father, you forgive them for they don't know what they do, what they're doing.
Yeah.
It's not because Jesus was actually weak.
Uh-huh.
Jesus had all the powers to do everything.
Mhm.
If at the beginning he could pick somebody's ear and fix it back,
Yeah.
he still had all his powers, and he could say, all of you dead, and all this. But it just gives us an example that forgiveness is not for the weaklings.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's for actually the strong ones, but they know what they want. They know that they need to have peace come in the community. Yeah.
So for you, you're saying it's on the contrary. Those who think forgiveness is a sign of weakness, they're misinformed.
They've got it wrong.
They've got it wrong.
Sure.
So if you're forgiving, it takes courage in your own words. It takes strength.
Takes strength.
And so if you're forgiving, that's requiring more strength than weakness.
Sure.
Like people say. Okay. So Fidel, I just kind of want to ask you. You also do business. Out of the many things you do, you do business. So at least you understand money very well.
Yes.
So I was speaking with some people some time back, and they said, well, for me it's simple. If you've hurt me, if you've done something wrong to me and you want me to forgive you, it's easy. I'll just give you my bank account or read you my mobile money account number, just drop in something there, send me the notification, and we are good.
Yes.
So in your own word and maybe experience, would you say that that's a good way to forgive or unforgiveness?
So to me, I think you don't have to pay someone for them to forgive you.
Yeah.
Right? What I would say basically is to actually acknowledge the fact of forgiving someone is actually doing yourself good, because you're not only forgiving them, but you're doing it for your own good as well. Yes, that is basically what I can say for now.
So would you say that it's easy to forgive or it's difficult to forgive?
So basing on my own experience,
Yes.
well, I'm human.
Which is what we're looking for.
Yes, so
experience.
it's definitely not really easy to forgive. Well, it sounds easy, but it's not as easy as it may sound, because it's very hard. Like it's you like, from my personal experience, it's not easy to forget.
Yeah.
Like it's not just as simple as saying just forgive and forget.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes that thing really haunts you. It makes you feel like you've gotten to the point where you cannot do any other thing. Yes.
Yeah.
Like you get so stuck to the extent that even mentally you're already affected. Yeah. So I don't really think it's easy to forgive. It's not as easy as it sounds.
But it's possible.
It's possible, yes.
Okay. So Moses, now I get back to you again. You heard the phrase "forgive and forget." Just forgive and forget, and then let's pretend nothing ever happened.
Sure.
Is that a good way of viewing forgiveness? That I forgive, forget, and then we pretend like nothing ever happened and just keep rolling with life.
Actually, when we talk about forgive and forget, I think the phrase is stated that way. But in my understanding, I know this is what actually is meaning. Forgive and forget is saying forgive and don't hold somebody accountable for the offense they have committed.
Okay.
But then forgiveness in its own sense does not necessarily mean forgive and then you automatically bring back the relationship and then things move well. Sometimes it takes time actually for the healing to take place. And so forgive and forget, sometimes actually even forgiving and forgetting will, sometimes when you forgive somebody, they still have to pay for certain things they have done.
Yeah.
You are a Bible teacher, you're a pastor, and you know this, that when we talk about forgiving, right from even the Christian perspective, God forgives us. But sometimes Him forgiving us, there are certain consequences that we have to pay for our sins.
Yeah.
Say, for example, a person has gone to steal, and then as he's trying to open the door, his arm is chopped off.
Yes.
His arm is chopped off. And then this person comes back, he prays to God, say, please
Forgive me.
Yes.
Surely,
And God forgives him.
God is faithful and gracious, will forgive him.
Yes.
But God will not fix back his hand. And now that is the consequence of his sin.
Okay.
And so sometimes, like for example, a person has stolen a bicycle and then is required to pay.
To pay.
Yes, he's forgiven, but then he has
You
to
pay.
go ahead to pay. So that this may actually stop that from him offending other people and hurting other people.
Or
in
committing
future.
the same kind.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Seeing that.
So literally from what you're saying is, yes, we've been called to forgive, but forgiveness does not mean letting go of the consequences that might come as a result of the crime committed.
Sure.
Okay. So yes, we forgive, but if there's consequences attached to the crime they've committed, they are going to have to pay.
They're going to have to pay.
Okay. So you mentioned the fact that I'm a Bible teacher and we are all believers, which is very good.
Yes.
So Fidel, could you? It might be paraphrasing or in your own words, but could you help us using the Word of God define for us forgiveness, or what the Bible has said about forgiveness, if there is?
So, to forgive does not mean that you condone wrongdoing. Like, reaching a place of true forgiveness is not about you deciding that what someone did is okay if it was not.
Yeah.
Right? Like, forgiveness does not mean that you have to forget. Is that even possible?
To forget.
Yes. Is it possible?
Well, at least I know the forgiveness. It's possible to forgive,
Yes.
but to forget, literally, that would mean you have to go through the process of brainwashing. They will have to brainwash you to
Yes.
forget the experience you went through. So to forget, it's probably not going to happen. You forgetting what happened.
Yeah.
But I think when you've truly forgiven, you don't that the crime that was committed against you or the person who would hurt you does not have power over you anymore.
Yes.
Because you're forgiven, you've released that emotion and the pain and the hurt that came with the crime or the offense that was committed against you. And because you're forgiven, you literally, like Moses had mentioned to us at the beginning, you've said, I'm willing to let this go. I'm willing to not hold this against them
Anymore.
and so I'm not going to allow this be hurting to me anymore. That does not mean you don't remember what happened. It just means that you have gotten to a point where you are not going to allow the things that happen control your life, your feelings, and how you live your life anymore.
Yes. So that brings us to my personal definition of forgiveness.
Sure.
Like, what forgiveness is. Forgiveness to me is eliminating the negativity that results from hurt by letting go of the emotional baggage. That is from my own. That is what I would say about forgiveness.
Yeah.
It's basically eliminating the negativity that results from hurt by letting go of the emotional baggage. Yes.
That came as a result
As a result of the baggage.
Okay.
Yes, of that emotional baggage.
Sure.
Yes.
Okay. So now Moses, I kind of want to get back to you as we get into wrapping this up. Could you give us a few, maybe 2 or 3 reasons that you probably have about why we should forgive? At least we all agree at this point that that it's important that we forgive, that it is possible to forgive even the worst of the crime committed to us.
Sure.
Now, so what are some of the reasons, maybe 1 or 2 or 3, that you could give to someone out there who might be struggling with forgiving? Is wondering, yes, now I've understood, I hear what you're saying, that it's important to forgive, but why should I forgive? Could you give us some reason?
Surely. Maybe to give it pretty quick, I'll start by saying forgiveness helps us, we who are offended, actually sets us free from the bitterness and then the anger that we are carrying along with us. I've seen a situation where you find people, they are in a community, and then they say, so and so I cannot share the same table with them, so and so I cannot sit with them on the same table, and things of that kind. And then they are having this anger every time they see this person. And studies actually shows that anger has a lot of effect to our physical bodies.
Absolutely.
You find some people having headache, trying to work out this, they're having stomach issues, they're having ulcers and things of that kind. And all this comes because you fail to forgive somebody. So in forgiveness, you are setting yourself free from that.
Yes.
But then secondly, you find that also forgiveness helps us to build back the relationship.
That was broken.
It restores the relationship.
Okay.
You find a family is breaking apart, a
Mhm.
church is tearing apart just simply because people have refused to forgive themselves. And so when we forgive, we build back and then we are one together. Because sometimes even what is putting us apart is something very
Very
little,
small,
which
yeah.
is not worth doing that. But then when we look into the Bible, Christ reached out for us and sacrificed so much for us. And so for us as Christians, reaching out to forgive, we are actually showing that we have understood the sacrifice that Christ made for us on the cross, reaching out there and then forgiving us. We wrong God, but then
Yeah.
God is the one running after us to say, hey, come back, and then we do what? We work these things together.
Yeah.
But then the Bible also tells us clearly, it's saying when we forgive, we're actually creating an avenue for God to forgive us. The Bible states very clearly in Matthew chapter 6, verses 14 and 15, telling us that if you forgive your brothers, those who have wronged you, then your Father in heaven
Will also
will also
forgive
forgive you.
Yeah.
And so when we do that, we're actually allowing God to also forgive us. Just like he puts it very clear, Jesus puts it very clear in Matthew 6 in the Lord's Prayer.
Yeah.
He says, forgive us as we also
as we
forgive
forgive.
those who trespass against us. And
Yeah.
this is calling in for all those kind of things.
Okay.
But then sometimes when you see the story of Stephen in the Bible, when
Yes.
these guys were picking stones,
They're
and
throwing
at
stones
him
actually.
and throwing at him,
Yes.
and you would expect Stephen to actually cast them.
Uh-huh.
But what does it say? It says, Father,
Forgive them.
forgive them. And sometimes forgiving, more especially when we are doing this to the non-believers, we actually, you never know what you're doing. You could be pointing them to Christ,
Yeah.
wondering what kind of God do they serve? What makes them very different? Instead of paying evil for evil, what are they doing in turn?
Yeah.
They are paying it with good.
Yes.
Stephen, when he did that, guess who was there? Paul was there in the midst of that. If you read in Acts chapter 7,
Yeah.
and then Paul later on turns out to be a very great evangelist, writing almost a third of our New Testament.
Yes.
And so forgiveness has a lot to be done, and that's why God actually wants us to forgive.
Sure.
But it benefits us as human, and then it benefits even the entire kingdom of God.
Okay.
Yeah, just to mention but a few.
Sure. Thank you very much. Then let me come to you also, Fidel, as we wrap up. Do you, besides the things that Moses has mentioned, are there other reasons that you might have that you can give for why we should forgive, why forgiveness is important?
Yes, well, I think forgiveness is very, very important. Because just like I said in the beginning, that forgiveness is important for our own growth and
Yes.
happiness.
Yeah.
You realize when you forgive, there is that kind of joy that just fills you. There is an atmosphere
Yeah.
of joy and happiness that fills your heart, where all the baggage just leaves you. Like as soon as you forgive, you feel like some weight has left your shoulders.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever realized that.
Yeah.
Which comes with a very nice feeling. Well, I know feelings change, like feelings really change.
Yeah.
But once you forgive, it's a very nice feeling.
It
That is not
releases
going
you.
to change immediately. Like negative. It cannot. Once you forgive, it is really, really, it eases a lot. Like
Sure.
it makes you feel like that is what you needed.
Okay.
And forgiveness also frees us, like to live in the present.
Yeah.
It makes you free with people around you. Like it makes you free with your offender. Like I can give an example of people who have an anger in them for a very long time. Now every time they see an offender, they don't want to meet the offender
Yes.
because of forgiveness. Now when you actually forgive, it frees you even with that person, with your offender. Like every time you meet that person, because you've forgiven them already, you don't have any problem.
Yeah.
You want to meet them, you want to give them this warm hug. Like that can only happen after forgiveness. That
Sure.
is why forgiveness is important.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then there's a quotation which might probably be more famous
Okay.
than the actual man who quoted it. I
Okay.
bet you know that quotation. It says, "To ERR is human, but to forgive is divine." Right. Now, to forgive is also divine. This lets us know that it's divine to forgive.
Yeah.
Yes. Now, to me, forgiveness is just more than what every other person thinks, especially at a personal level. Because I have I've been through levels where I have struggled
Mhm.
with forgiving someone.
Yeah.
But as soon as I forgave them, I was free. And not
Yes.
just free, but free
Yes.
indeed.
Sure.
Yes.
That's right. Yes, when the Son of Man
Yes.
sets you free,
Yes.
you're free indeed.
Yes. And also when you forgive, you're free
You're
indeed.
free.
Sure.
Yes, especially even with the offender.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so I hope this has helped you, and of course, there's something that Jesus said about forgiveness as we wrap up. He said, when you were going to pray, bringing your offering, literally coming in the presence of the Lord to pray, and then he said, and then you remember that your brother has something against you.
Mhm.
So it's you've not even committed a crime, but you then remember there's someone who with you they feel like that they're not okay. You said first leave your offering, first stop, don't even continue in your prayer and worship with God. You said go and be reconciled with your brother, and then you come back. And so just look at that. It's not even you who has committed the crime. It's just someone who is not okay with you. Not because of anything. They have their own reason. But he said, if you know that, he said, go and reconcile and forgive. And I just want to say this about forgiveness. Forgiveness is like you going to a prison cell and setting a prisoner free, and then realizing you were the prisoner.
That's right.
Because the reality is, unforgiveness pains you more than the person you're not willing to forgive.
So, just a moment. Are you trying to say that forgiveness is remission is a synonym of forgiveness? Basically.
In a way, it is.
Okay.
Because you see, unforgiveness or not forgiving. Sometimes, of course, we don't want to forgive or say, the way Moses has angered me or hurt me, there's no way in the world I'm going to forgive him. Let him feel it, right? Now remember, sometimes Moses does not even know that maybe what he said or what he did annoyed me or hurt me, right? So Moses is living his own life. He's enjoying
even
his.
if they know,
or
they don't know that much.
Yes,
They think
maybe
it's
they
just
know
to
it's
do
like, it was just. Or maybe he did it intentionally.
Yes.
So either way, they don't care, or at least they're not bothered by it. So Moses is living his own life and he's okay. But how am I living? Each time I see Moses, my peace is gone.
Completely.
My joy is gone.
No.
Now it's like, what is he even doing here? So now Moses does not know that. So now, who is in trouble? It's me,
It's you, yeah.
not him.
Not him.
Who I should forgive. But by forgiving, like using your own words you mentioned, it kind of releases that emotional baggage, and it's like that weight is removed. So it's when I forgive and I set Moses free, then now whether I see him or not, is like I'm okay.
Yes.
So now who is free?
It's you.
It's me. So me not forgiving, I was thinking I was putting Moses in prison, making his life difficult, and yet I was making my own life difficult by not forgiving. So that's one of the greatest benefits. Besides all the things that Moses and Fidelis mentioned, forgiveness is for yourself. Unforgiveness is like you taking poison because you want to kill a rat that is destroying your things in the house, right? At the end of it all, it's not the rat that will die, it is you. So you forgive so that you are free.
That's right.
Not so much for them, but for yourself.
Yeah.
So guys, I hope this encourages you and helps you in learning and knowing about forgiveness, and helps you begin a journey towards living a forgiving life, a life that is free, that is joyful, without the burden of unforgiveness, so that you can enjoy the freedom that Christ has given. We will see you in our next episode. Please stay tuned, subscribe to our channel, and share this with your friends if this has helped and blessed you. May God bless you. Anything you want to say, Moses? Just in a word or two.
Bless you, and please don't be in a prison because you've not forgiven anybody.
Amen.
Live a free life.
Fidel?
Just like we've talked about forgiveness, if there's someone that you're holding or you've been holding for a very long time, it's a high time you forgive them. Because by forgiving them, you're actually bailing your own self from your own prison.
Yeah.
Amen.
So
That's true.
go out there and forgive.
And don't forget to forgive yourself also.
Yes. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Moses, for joining me on this cast. And Fidel, thank you.
You're welcome.
It's always a privilege and honor being with you guys. And I want to tell you I'm going to be with them again very soon in another episode. So stay tuned to that.
We appreciate it.
See you
Catch
now
you
next
guys
one.
later.
God bless.
Bless you.